This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you, as I love to do, every weekday over the airwaves of ESPN Radio in 250-plus markets across the United States of America, and, of course, nationwide on ESPN Radio, Sirius XM style. Channel 80. Number to call up, as always, is 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. Got a jam-packed show coming your way today. Got some NBA games on the docket tonight. Washington and Charlotte. I'm watching that because I'm waiting for Bradley Beal to hit a shot in the fourth quarter. That's just me. But I'm a fan of his. I'm a fan of John Wall, but I want to explore why they can't get any big-name free agents to come there. I want to talk about Anthony Davis and what you believe the Boston Celtics should do in order to get their hands on them, or what the Cleveland Cavaliers should have done in order to get their hands on them, because any one of them get Anthony Davis, you're talking title contention, if not an NBA championship, as far as I'm concerned. That's something we'll get into today, along with the subject of the great Drew Brees, who is a free agent, who has been on the record stating he has no interest whatsoever in exploring free agency. He wants to come back and be with New Orleans. My whole point is not to bring up 50 Cent or anybody like that, but I don't see anything wrong with a little window shopping. I really, really don't. This window shopper mad at me. I think I know why. Absolutely. I don't have a problem with it. Zero. Absolutely not. So that's something that we'll talk about as the show progresses. But for now, it's time for some Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. In light of what transpired a couple of nights ago, more than 36 hours ago, inside the Staples Center in Los Angeles, California, CP3, Chris Paul, Trevor Ariza, James Harden, and most of the Houston Rockets players reportedly tried to storm the Los Angeles Clippers locker room to get at Austin Rivers and Blake Griffin before they were turned away. As I reported here yesterday on the show, Trevor Ariza was supposedly the ringleader. Chris Paul was right behind him. According to members of the Clippers organization, Chris Paul did nothing to stop the incident or to squash it at all. Obviously, the reports are indicating that Trevor Ariza was the aggressor, whereas James Harden and Trevor Ariza tried to restrain James Harden and CP3 tried to restrain Trevor Ariza. So depending on which story you believe, that's what's out there. I'm not here to judge anybody. I got a lot of love for James Harden. I think he's a superstar in this game. I think that this game should value him, and we all know how I feel about CP3. He's a future Hall of Famer, one of the greatest point guards, miniature point guards to have ever played this game. Can't conduct yourself that way. You can't be the president of the Players Association remotely involved in a situation like that. That's my only knock against CP3. The fact that you have the title that you have. So it comes with an elevated level of responsibility that even if you did try to squash it, and even if you did try to play peacemaker, somehow, some way, reports got out to the contrary, and you can't even let that happen when you're the president of the Players Association. That's all. I have nothing else to say remotely negative about CP3, because as far as I'm concerned, he's entitled to his emotions. Because being that great, you're the Los Angeles Clippers, you have to value him to a point where he doesn't want to turn down over $200 million from a billionaire Steve Ballmer because he doesn't want to play for the coach Doc Rivers or with his son Austin Rivers. You just can't let that happen. You just can't let that happen. Having said all of that, that coupled with last night's incident in which Minnesota Timberwolves player Aaron Aflalo tried to throw a haymaker at a member of the Orlando Magic, that's a problem. That's an absolute problem. He's going to be suspended, no question about it, because of the punch that he threw. But there's a bigger question that comes into play here. And the bigger question is, does the NBA have an image problem? Let me tell y'all, I have a message. Even though it's on behalf of the NBA and it's on behalf of an abundance of folks who love the NBA, they will never say this. So I'm going to say this. All of you naysayers out there about the brand that is the NBA, you can go to hell. I'm going to say it again. Go to hell. Don't you come to me with no nonsense about the NBA. the most successful global brand in sports as far as I'm concerned, filled with an abundance of model citizens who spend far more time than most people give credit for being assets and contributors to their communities throughout this nation. I'll be damned if I'm going to sit up there and let somebody talk about the NBA in that way. You can go to hell. All of your phony, two-faced critics out there looking for an excuse to label these guys in a negative fashion. You got a lot of damn nerves. Does it get much better than LeBron James as a role model? How about Dwayne Wade? How about Carmelo Anthony and the work that he's been trying to do in Puerto Rico? And Tim Duncan, a former five-time champion and a retired player, by the way. Everywhere you turn with the NBA, players, coaches, and beyond, you have people being assets to one community after another. These players in the National Hockey League, even though they don't fight the way they used to, they can punch each other in the face, bloody each other's nose, try to stomp people out. Oh, that just comes with the sport. Major League Baseball, you got dugouts emptying and melees taking place. Oh, that's just baseball being baseball. That's America's pastime. We'll suspend them, but for the most part, they can police themselves. But far be it for an NBA player to get into something. All of a sudden, hey, Stephen A., do you think that we need to have the discussion about the problem in the NBA? I mean, Stephen A., come on, it really needs to be addressed. I mean, the violence. Really? Really? Do I have to really elocuate my thoughts? Do you not comprehend? Is it an accident that the NBA is more than 70% black? Is it an accident that the NFL is about 70% black? That's why we got to sit up here and have these issues? Really? You got to be crazy. Y'all must be smoking something. I will not allow anybody to sit up there and try to label the NBA in a negative light. Stuff happens. Fights happen. We get all that. But don't you dare try to sit up there and say, and ain't really a problem. It's anger management issues. They really need to hash it out. Maybe they could go into the timeout corner. I mean, what is that? When y'all gonna say that about baseball players? I love how this issue, for example, and I'm going to go here. I love how this issue, because listen, I was raised by 5 women. Not that the NBA has anything to do with this at all, what I'm about to bring up, but I'm trying to make a point. Remember how from Ray Rice to Ray McDonald to Greg Hardy on down, issues of domestic violence in the NFL. Fair enough. That stuff was going on in Major League Baseball. I remember stuff being chronicled about Bobby Cox, the former manager for the Atlanta Braves. You barely ever heard anything. And it was going on for years. And that's just one of several examples involving Major League Baseball. We ain't hear a word. But a black dude has bad breath and it's news. Nah, that's not happening on my watch. It's a new day. It's a new day. I don't know why the hell ESPN decided to give me this national radio show. You done messed up. Because I'm here to tell you something. I ain't taking that. The NBA and the NFL, their problems are bigger than nobody else's. You ain't tainting them that way. And there is no image problem with the NBA. You should be thankful you have the National Basketball Association with all the work that they do in the community. With all the good that they do. And I got news for you. I don't think Chris Paul is guilty of much. But even if he's guilty of misbehaving with this situation with the Los Angeles Clippers, you can't find most players, most professional athletes in history with a better record as a human being than that man. Have you met his parents? Do you know his brother? Do you know his family member? Have you seen his lovely wife and kids? Do you know what that man stands for? You will not get away with that. And by the way, Aaron Aflalo ain't a bad dude either. He just has to get suspended for what he did. Y'all got a lot of damn nerves. You really do. 888-729-3776 and 888-SAY-ESPN. That's just one item I'm getting into. The other item is the blasphemy. The outright blasphemy that is taking place in the streets of Pittsburgh. Minority owners without a controlling interest. This is according to Mike Florio of Football Talk. Rob Centrone, Paul Evanson, Larry Paul, Stephen Paul, Bruce Rauner, Paul Sams, John Stallworth, Benjamin Statler, Scott Swank, David Tepper, Thomas Dole, Peter Verichetti, Mike Wilkins. These are minority owners of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and evidently a few of them want Mike Tomlin fired. 116-16 record. Perpetual playoff team. Super Bowl champion. 2 Super Bowl appearances. Teams are better in the second half than they are in the first half of the season. I am willing to acknowledge that Mike Tomlin has underachieved, but that's only because of his standard. Not because of ours. If it ain't Bill Belichick, who the hell should have want Mike Tomlin as a coach? And these sniveling, weak minority owners with their sorry trifling. Oh, talking about getting rid of Mike Tomlin? Oh, man, I'm so happy to have this radio show. I'm so happy. 888-729-3776. It's 888-SAY-ESPN. In case you haven't noticed, I'm just getting started. That was Straight Talk Wireless nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. I appreciate your business. But with or without you, the world is going to hear me this. You going to mess with Mike Tomlin? Oh, I can't wait. Back with more in a minute. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show. ESPN Radio.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Looking in the store. Stand by. Window shopper. Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. 888-729-3776 is always the number to call up. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. Listen, under no circumstances am I trying to pretend that Mike Tomlin is flawless. He is not. There are mistakes that have been made along the way. There are things that have been left to be desired along the way. People want to bring up the onside kick. I personally didn't blame them for that, to be honest with you. I can understand why people should have insisted on it because it put Jacksonville in good field position. And so as a result, they were able to, kick a field goal and secure the win. But the bottom line is this. Mike Tomlin didn't believe in their defense because their defense was wet in the bed all afternoon long. And if I hold them accountable for anything, is that year after year after year, whether it's in their secondary or their ability to get at the quarterback, it's been a huge question marks continuously. And considering the fact that 4 Super Bowl titles were won with the steel curtain, Mean Joe Green and L.C. Greenwood and Mel Blount and Jack Lambert and Jack Ham and the crew, considering that all of that are things that led to Super Bowl championships. I mean, it's the Steel City. It's synonymous with the steel curtain. And that hasn't existed in the Mike Tomlin era. That's my beef. But having said all of that, other than Bill Belichick, there isn't a coach I'd rather have. He finds a way to win. They're relevant. I mean, you got to be kidding me. Talk about getting rid of them. Mike Tomlin has underachieved because of his own standards, which he and I have spoken about personally. Every time I've interviewed him, it's about that Super Bowl. And he's sick to his stomach that he comes up short. And yes, he's come up short every year since 2008, even though they went to the dance in 2010 before running into that bad man that Aaron Rodgers is. But it's not like this man deserves to lose his job. You got to be crazy. And go ahead, Steelers. Get rid of Mike Tomlin. It'll be about 25 to 27 other teams looking to hire him. You go right ahead. You go right ahead, you fools. 888-729-3776. 888-SAY-ESPN. We're talking about that right now, plus the supposed image problems of the National Basketball Association. You people make me sick. Some of you just make me sick. Image problems. Please. Carlton in Tampa. You're live with Stephen A. Go ahead, buddy.
Oh, man, I saw the Mike Tomlin segment to start off your first take show, and I just shake my head. I literally just shake my head. The last 4 years, he's 45-19. He's gone to the playoffs every single year. This despite the fact that he's got a pass defense that has ranked in the bottom third of the league over those 4 years, okay? And whose fault is that? Might I suggest Kevin Colbert, the GM of the Steelers, has been there the whole time?
That's a good suggestion. That's a good one.
Defensive coordinator Keith Butler, who can't get these guys within 5 yards of a receiver half the time. Do you know in their 4 playoff losses the last 4 years, the other team has completed 63.4% of their passes, has 6 touchdowns, no interceptions, 8.05 yards per pass attempt. Off the charts. I mean, it's just been like a throw fest on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they had an opportunity, as did every other team in the NFL at the beginning of this 2017 year, to go get Malcolm Butler, who was a restricted free agent, and they neglected to do so. They could have gone and poached him from the Patriots, and they didn't, and they kept Mike Mitchell back there at safety. Of course, Butler plays cornerback, right. But they could have gotten rid of Mitchell and saved his decent-sized salary and gone out and shored up that pass defense, and they didn't do it, and Blake Bortles, of all people, throws for 8.2 yards per pass attempt and puts up 35 freaking points on the Pittsburgh defense. And now people want to fire Mike Tomlin? Are you kidding me?
38 points, not 35, 38 points.
Oh, you're right.
What up?
You're right, 38. And by the way, that onside kick was the right move. The 95% of the commentators have said, oh, that was dumb, including Max Kellerman. That was the exact right move. Pittsburgh, if they had executed it properly, and Jacksonville recovers it, Jacksonville's going to get it on the 47 or 48-yard line of Pittsburgh. Oh, if they give up a first down, the game is over. So even if they got 8 yards starting on the 48, that would have put it into the 40. No way Jacksonville's going to try a 58-yard field goal. So the Steelers were getting it back. It's just that it was such a badly executed
like Tomlin said.
And then there was a penalty. That's the only reason Jacksonville.
Hold on, Carlton. Just like Tomlin said, if the guys had executed the way they were supposed to execute, we're not sitting here having this discussion. And he's absolutely right.
Exactly. So this is nonsense, but it just shows the absurd, superficial level of analysis that a lot of these yappers on sports media kick out day after day after day. Anybody who thinks Mike Tomlin should be fired from being a sports media analyst.
Well, I'm going to assume you're not talking about me, Carlton, because you're calling here all the time. So thank you, buddy.
No, I know. You didn't call for his firing today.
Thanks a lot, buddy. Take it easy. Have a good day. Let's go to Micah in Cali. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me. What's going on?
Stephen A., pleasure talking to you again, man. Thanks for taking my call.
Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch base on what you were talking about KD and LeBron yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not ready to give KD the KD era, the best player in the NBA right now.
Nobody is. Nobody is. What we're saying is, let's not change that. Nobody's saying that. What they're saying is, what if he wins the title this year and wreaks havoc doing it? What if KD, think about this for a second. I'll pose a question to you this way, Micah. What if KD, who's arguably a leading candidate for league MVP honors right now, what if Kevin Durant wins league MVP and wins the championship and wins NBA Finals MVP by averaging 35 on LeBron again?
Then, yeah, I would have to give it to him.
There we go. That's where we are.
But I mean, LeBron right now, 15 seasons in the NBA, averaging, 28, 9, and 8.
Yeah.
We haven't seen anybody do this in the 15th year ever. So that's why I just got to keep LeBron at the top right
Okay. All right. Appreciate the call, Micah. Thank you so much. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. More to Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio in a minute.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast. Damn it, I mean it!
Back to the Stephen A. Smith Show right here on ESPN Radio, 250-plus markets across the United States, plus Sirius XM, Channel 80. Number to call up, as always, is 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. We'll get back to your calls about Mike Tomlin and minority owners wanting him out in Pittsburgh. along with the NBA and its supposed image issues, which is just bogus to me, a bogus story. We'll talk about that and more as the show progresses, but not until I speak to my next guest. He's the co-host, Morning Drive, 710 ESPN LA. Of course, he's a former member of the New York Jets, a Super Bowl champion with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers under John Gruden, former Dallas Cowboy as well. I won't hold that against him. I'm talking about my buddy, the one and only, Keyshawn Johnson. He's on the line with us right now. What's going on, Big Time? How are you, man?
What's happening, man? Stop bragging about being in 250 markets.
What's wrong with that? I'm just letting the world know that I'm in 250 markets. What's the problem? They hearing you right now, ain't they? Yo, King, listen, man, let's get right to it because I got a couple of things that I have to ask you. The news just came out literally during the commercial break. I just saw it anyway. Todd Haley is out as the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Your thoughts about that?
I think it's a little ridiculous, but I also understand when things don't go according to plan, somebody's got to be the fall guy. And a lot of this, a lot of it smells like Ben Roethlisberger to me, but I'm on the outside looking in. I really don't have all the intimate details, but it sounds like a situation where you got the quarterback kind of throwing people under the bus slightly, and then, how this noise started to happen where you score, you're the third offense in the National Football League. Your career has certainly been on the upswing since Todd Haley's been the offensive coordinator. You've played crazy. Now, all of a sudden, he's not good enough because he was the side of the ball that gave up 50 points to the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's Todd Haley.
Last 4 years, Steelers made the playoffs. In terms of yards, they ranked second once, third twice, and seventh. Not this season, but last season. That's the offense under Todd Haley. So I mean, people,
that's pretty dynamic, impressive. Wouldn't you say?
That's pretty impressive. But it says to me also that evidently, I get your point about Big Ben. But have you ever had any issue with Todd Haley's play calling at all?
No, I really haven't. Because I guess for me, to be honest with you, I kind of understand what the offensive coordinators are asking in terms of dialing up plays. You take, for instance, the 4th and 2 when Big Ben tried to throw across the middle to Juju Smith.
Right.
That play's not designed to throw down the middle of the field. It's designed to check it down. It's a design play to check it down. Get the first down. Just check it down, get the first down. That's all you got to do. You don't have to be the hero. So a lot of times when we see that as viewers, the first thing we say is, why would Todd Haley call that play? Why would he call that play? That's what we say.
I got you. Keyshawn Johnson right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Let's move on to some other subjects. I haven't had an opportunity to talk to you since the Rams got bounced out of the postseason by the Atlanta Falcons more than a week ago. What were your thoughts about this season? What happened to them come playoff time?
Well, I think you got, number one, it was a terrific season. I mean, I had them winning 5 games. They certainly won the division. Jared Goff finally started to look like an NFL quarterback. Todd Gurley was an major MVP candidate. Sean McVay came in with his little mini Gruden act and put things together and got them into the playoffs. But the inexperience kind of hurt them. They'll never tell you that, but you can certainly see some of the mistakes that they were making against the Atlanta Falcons that they didn't realize the tempo of the playoffs was going to rise a little bit more. And next time around, I think they'll be more prepared with a little more experience to be able to take on a team and advance further into the playoffs.
What do you mean, for a second? Let me go back to your initial comment. What do you mean his mini Gruden act? Mini John Gruden, I'm assuming you were talking about. What does that mean?
Man, he reminds, I tell him all the time. Sean McVay remind me so much of Gruden. When he calling plays, just his voice, because we get him on the air with us a lot because he's here in L.A. Every time I listen, I got to listen real careful because I ain't sure if I'm talking to John or if I'm talking to Sean. And you remember, Sean was with us in Tampa. Right. He was actually one of our little, he was one of the managers of the football team with us. So I tongue and cheek him all day long about being a little mini group.
Keyshawn Johnson right here with Stephen A. And by the way, Keyshawn Johnson will join Boomer, that's Chris Berman and Tom Jackson, on Championship Sunday edition of NFL Primetime. So make sure y'all don't miss it. Speaking of Gruden, I haven't had an opportunity to ask you about your former coach, your former Super Bowl champion coach, landing the job with the Oakland Raiders. Look, Keyshawn, I ain't mad at the man. I would have taken the money as well. Please don't get me wrong. 10 years, $100 million guaranteed, bonuses that escalated to 120 from what I'm hearing. Could you explain to me why Oakland would feel the need to give him that kind of money, those kind of guaranteed dollars, when a man hasn't coached since 2008, and the 6 years prior to that, it was a 45-51 record, 0-2 in the postseason. Could you explain that to me?
Well, I think Stephen Smith, that, they have a great relationship in terms of understanding who he is, and Reggie McKenzie. Now, look, I know the reported numbers are 100, 120 million, I can almost certainly guarantee you that it's not a fully guaranteed contract. There's some outs in there somewhere. I mean, he's getting a handsome ransom for however long he's going to be coaching, but he hasn't forgot how to coach. Even though he's been gone away from the game for a while, he's still kind of been around the game on Monday Night Football. So you would think hiring certain coordinators and assistant coaches that have been in the league could certainly help, that learning curve that this team is going to learn under with a new head coach. So I'm not really overly concerned with that. I think more so when you're paying a guy in upwards of whatever the numbers truly really are, it's a lot that hasn't really been around coaching for a while. What are you expecting if you're the Oakland Raiders? Are you looking for instant gratification, or are you willing to wait several years to get into a deep run into the postseason? Or are you looking at this and saying the AFC will eventually be wide open because Tom Brady is getting ready to walk away at some point in time?
And Big Ben.
And Big Ben and the staff, so now it's the perfect time to strike.
And I'm thinking, so then, therefore, you shouldn't have any problem with my expectations that if you're going to pay the man $100 million, he should deliver a Super Bowl within in about 4 years, shouldn't you say?
4 years. If they paid him $3 million a year, 4 years is plenty of time with that roster to advance deep into an AFC championship caliber football team with 4 years. You don't even need, you know what I'm saying? Any coach with 4 years with that roster that's worth anything should be able to get them to an AFC championship game.
Gotcha.
In 4 years.
Gotcha.
I mean, think about it. In 4 years?
That's right.
I mean, how much are you really going to change? Carr ain't going nowhere. Crabtree ain't going nowhere. Cooper ain't going nowhere. You may address the running back issue to some degree. You got the highest paid offensive line. It's still pretty good. So you're really not addressing a whole lot. Maybe the secondary, maybe a linebacker or two.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
Works for me. Keyshawn right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Let's get to these conference championship games. Jacksonville, New England. Who you got and why?
I'm going to take New England, obviously, man. They playing at home. Not only are you playing against the New England Patriots, you're playing against Foxborough. You're playing against possibly guys that wear stripes, and I ain't saying who they are. I mean, you play, it's a lot. You stacking the deck when you going up to Foxborough thinking you fit to beat Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. That's just not something that they do. They don't lose at home, in particular in the playoffs.
Any issue with the Steelers running them out before they played Jacksonville last Sunday?
No, because that's not bulletin board material. All that is for people like us that do sports talk radio and television to come on after they lose and say, see, they should have been quiet. Because grown men don't feed off of stuff like that. Because if Pittsburgh would have won the game, we wouldn't even be saying nothing. We would just be like, oh, Pittsburgh wasn't going to lose to them a second time, yada, 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 yada. But because they lost, we now can sit up there and point to them saying something and losing the game.
Listen to Keyshawn using words like us and we as it pertains to the media. I'm very proud of you, big boy. I'm very, very proud. Let's get to the NFC. Well, go ahead. Say what you got to say.
That was a slip-up. Was a slip-up on my part.
I knew it. That's why I brought it up. What about the NFC Championship game? Philadelphia hosting Minnesota, the luckiest team alive as far as I'm concerned. Philly hosting Minnesota. What's up?
But why you say they lucky?
Oh, because of that last play. Come on now, Keyshawn. Look, man, I'm in a good mood. Don't you start with me. You know good and damn well that touchdown to Diggs. I mean, Marcus Williams, God bless him. He's just a rookie. It's a mistake. He'll have a bright career. But a mistake like that, how lucky can you be if you're Minnesota? Stop it, Keyshawn.
If he open his eyes, it ain't a mistake. You can't hit nothing you can't see.
Oh, Lord. Really? Really? That's where we going? That's where we going?
Open your eyes, son.
All right.
All you got to do is open your eyes. You hit the dude, you open your eyes. He closed his eyes. Anybody that played football and know football can tell based on his approach and his body that his eyes were closed. We don't get that camera shot because it's all from the back end.
Right.
But he certainly closed his eyes. And, yes, at the end of the day, it was pure luck. You know, it's been a luck fest for them. Think about it. Teddy Bridgewater goes down a couple years ago. They bring in Sam Bradford. The team looks really good, playoff run, the whole deal, yada, yada, yada. Now, all of a sudden, Bradford goes down. Case Keenum comes in, and he looks like Aaron Rodgers. So it turns into a situation where they play great defense. They're at home. If they can force Nick Foles into making some mistakes and turnovers, because he's thrown a lot of interceptions, guys just aren't catching them. If they can hold on to him, then Minnesota, I believe, will be playing New England in their own home field. They won't have to leave at all. They can ride right up the street, stay in their own homes, come Super Bowl time.
So you're predicting Minnesota's going to beat Philly in Philly Sunday?
No, it's in Minnesota.
No. I'm saying to you, Minnesota comes to Philadelphia this weekend for the NFC Championship game. You think they're going to win that game?
I do.
Oh,
I do.
Look, man, you go back and do your TV, man. I can't wait to see you and Boom and Tom
Jackson.
But
you're a Philly guy.
I'm not a Philly guy. I'm from New York City. Watch your mouth. I'm from New York.
You're a Philly. You covered the Philadelphia. What is it?
That's
Inquirer,
right. I worked for the Philadelphia Inquirer for 17 years. Yes, that was true. That is true.
I don't need all them years. I just know you worked for them.
All right. There you go.
I know you covered the Eagles when we smacked them. I know that much. You saw me in the locker room after the game, too. You ain't got to rub it in, though. You ain't got to rub it in. Bye, Keyshawn. Hey, wait, hold on, though.
Go ahead.
Check this out. What you think about the minority owners wanting Tomlin out?
I think they're insane. They got a lot of damn nerves. It's a disgrace. 116-60 is his record. As many years as he's taken them to the playoffs, he's a Super Bowl champion. If Mike Tomlin deserves to be unemployed, a whole bunch of coaches should be fired. That's my take.
No, but you know what, though? See, I'm the type of dude, as soon as I start to hear that chatter from Mike Tomlin, first thing I'm going to say is, if that's what the Roonies want to do, let's make it happen. Because I know I'm going to get another job.
That's true.
Too good of a coach to be on the streets. Like you said, it's a whole lot of jokers that need to be fired as head coaches if Mike Tomlin going to be on the street.
Amen, brother. Amen. Appreciate you, man. Can't wait to see you Sunday night. Take it easy. Keyshawn Johnson, he's going to join Boom and Tom Jackson on Championship Sunday edition of NFL Prime Time. Boy, do I miss Boom and Tom Jackson. And Keyshawn, by the way, even though I hear him all the time in L.A. But I miss Boom and Tom Jackson. I can't wait till Sunday night. I just can't wait. That's must-see TV, Boom and Tom Jackson doing post-game highlights. I'm here to tell you that right now. More of the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio in a minute.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast. Damn it, I mean it!
Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. It's presented by Progressive Home Insurance. Getting a quote is easier than ever before. Jeff in Hollywood, real quick, go ahead.
Okay, man, first of all, man, love, man, I just want to say, if Mike Tomlin was of a different persuasion, it'd be a whole different conversation. It wouldn't even be a conversation about him being fired or anything.
I agree.
But the other thing I wanted to deal with was my man Chris Paul. I got respect for him, and I remember yesterday you were talking about him, and I got an issue that I just wanted to bring up.
My brother, you got 30 seconds, so go ahead and make it.
Okay, 30 seconds is this. Chris Paul he's going to be a Hall of Famer. We're not going to deal with the fact that he don't have no rings. But when you said one of the greatest to ever play the game, that really stuck with me, man.
Miniature point guard.
That stuck bad because you got cats like time.
That's your fault. We lost your signal. Had you made your point a few seconds earlier, you'd have got your point out. But you weren't ready. I said greatest miniature point guard. I didn't say greatest play ever. Greatest small guard. One of the greatest small guard ever. Tiny, Isaiah, Iverson, him. Hour number 2 with Stephen A. up next.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Welcome to hour number 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show, here with you for the next hour over the airwaves of ESPN Radio. The number to call up as always is 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. Lots of stuff to continue to get into today. No question about that. And I will definitely continue to do so. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, which is being brought to you by Pennzoil Synthetics, taking synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. Make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. Lots of stuff to get into. And I'll get back into Mike Tomlin and this ridiculousness of minority owners for the Pittsburgh Steelers wanting him out is so insulting. It's just so insulting. It really rakes my damn nerves. I'm not going to lie to you, to say the least. It really, really gets to me. No doubt about that. We'll get into that, of course. We'll also get into, we'll revisit the whole image issue supposedly that the NBA has, which is bogus to me. There's no image issue as it pretends, as it relates to the NBA. It's an incredible global iconic brand. You got that going on. You got a lot of guys that contribute a lot to the community. You got that going on. They don't deserve there being this perception of an image problem because stuff almost went down at the Staples Center the other night and Aaron Aflalo threw a haymaker at a member of the Orlando Magic last night. The pronunciation of his name is what I struggle with, which is why I did not say it. Let me say this. There's no image problem. If there's an image problem with the NBA, if there's an image problem with the NFL, there's an image problem with the NHL. There's an image problem with Major League Baseball. Unless you want to address that, don't come to me with that. Don't come to me with it. I ain't trying to hear it. They fight in the National Hockey League all the time. Y'all ain't saying anything. Dugouts empty and melees take place in Major League Baseball. Nobody says anything. They get to police themselves half the time and unapologetically look you in the face and tell you, you know what? Hey, we'll handle it ourselves. We police ourselves. They don't want an authority recognized as having dominion over them. And they've been successful in doing so because unlike the other sports, they have a strong players union who negotiate great collective bargaining agreements. Why? Because you got a lot of these players, by and large, who buffer themselves against the influence of owners because they save their money and they can hold out longer. You want to make that argument? I'm all ears. But that's about it. I don't want to hear this stuff about an image problem with the NBA. Not when you have these individuals who are stellar citizens and incredible contributors to their communities. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. 888-SAY-ESPN is the number to call up. That's 888-729-3776. I got to get to the subject of Mr. Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis, for those of you who don't know, is this dude who's about 6'11". Came out of Kentucky, won a national title, delivered a national title for the John Calipari at the University of Kentucky as a freshman. Came into the draft as a number 1 overall pick. Ladies and gentlemen, he's an all-star. And for the second consecutive road game, he dropped 40+. In case you missed his game against the New York Knicks the other night, he showed up at Madison Square Garden, dropped 48 and 17 on the New York Knicks and Kristaps Porzingis. So much for that theory, that comparison. All you Kristaps Porzingis lovers, and I like him. But I told you he wasn't a number 1 option because I told you he was a little bit too frail, a little bit too thin. And once Carmelo Anthony left, he was going to see a lot of pressure, physical pressure applied to this brother, and he wasn't going to be ready for it. I tried to tell y'all. But y'all didn't want to listen. I said he's damn good, but he's no number 1 option. He ain't got it in him. You wouldn't listen. Well, Anthony Davis showed up the other night and reminded him of what a number 1 option is. By the way, after dropping 48 and 17 on the Knicks, Anthony Davis then went to TD Bank Garden in Boston, Massachusetts last night, playing against the number 1 seeded Boston Celtics with Kyrie Irving and Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and Al Horford and all of these boys. And what did Anthony Davis do? 25 in the first half. He finished with 45 and 16. Ladies and gentlemen, on this year, he is averaging 27 and 10 on 56% shooting. Anthony Davis is the real deal. I don't want to hear all of this Greek freak stuff. Okay? Because contrary to what you want to believe, and contrary to what you want to recognize, I got news for y'all. For all of y'all out there that want to just dismiss Anthony Davis and act like he's just another player, he's been in the league forever, blah, blah, blah. No. Jonathan, Kat, could y'all do me a favor, please? Could y'all go out and get Anthony Davis's AARP card? Could you grab it, please? Because everybody talks about him like he's been around for ages. No, I want one of these young guys. Ben Simmons is 19 or 20 years old. The Greek freak is 21, 22 years old. Oh, my God, Stephen, what are you talking about? Stop the presses. Stop the presses. Anthony Davis is about to retire. Did y'all hear the news? He's been around forever. He's some senior citizen that's beyond his prime, and his career is over. Did y'all hear the news? Anthony Davis is 24 years old. 24. He turns 25 March 11th. That's Anthony Davis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's in his 6th year. He's a senior citizen. Did you hear the news? Why would we pick Anthony Davis? My Lord. Oh my goodness. He's running out of time. He's 24. 24. And oh, by the way, since his rookie year, 20.8 points, 24.4, 24.3. Last year, he averaged 28 points, 11.8 rebounds on 50% shooting for the season. And this year, I'm sorry, guys, gals, didn't you hear the news? He's slipping. He's only averaging 27.2 a game. By the way, the New Orleans Pelicans are 23-20. DeMarcus Cousins is his teammate. So is Drew Holiday. And Anthony Davis is a big-time name because I got news for you. There should be 2 competitors going all out to get him. The Boston Celtics should do everything they can to get him. For 2 reasons. Number 1, getting him, even if it's for Al Horford and a Jason Tatum, getting Anthony Davis will make the Boston Celtics the favorites in the Eastern Conference. That's right, I said it. Anthony Davis with Kyrie Irving and Jaylen Brown and the rest of the Boston crew, please. Yes, it would. And if not this year, definitely next year once Gordon Hayward came back. And oh, by the way, if you don't get in Boston, but you land in Cleveland, if Anthony Davis somehow, some way were to land in Cleveland, because Kobe Altman, under pressure to get something done, by the way, with the Cavs being old and slow and allergic to playing defense, evidently, Anthony Davis would have landed in Cleveland. And I'm not advocating for Kevin. Look, I love Kevin Love. I think Kevin Love is a really good player that doesn't deserve it, doesn't get enough credit for what he brings to the table. I genuinely like Kevin Love. I really do. But if I got a chance to get Anthony Davis for Kevin Love and another player, you think I'm not doing it? Are you insane? And could you imagine LeBron James with Anthony Davis? Oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord. So much for the Golden State Warriors being the favorites, because I'm here to tell you, LeBron with Anthony Davis is a title. Without a doubt. He's that real. He is that real. And you want me to tell you what possibly could be standing in the way? LeBron James. LeBron James may very well have the keys to Anthony Davis landing in Cleveland. LeBron James may actually be the one preventing it from happening. How do I know this? I'll tell you in a minute. 888-SAY-ESPN is the number to call up. That's 888-729-3776. More of the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio in a minute.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Hey! I got soul. I'm super bad. Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. It's presented by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who switch to Progressive can save an average of $620. Number to call up to the Stephen A. Smith Show, as always, is 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. Before I get back to the calls. If you are the Cleveland Cavaliers, here's what you need to understand. If you're a Cleveland Cavaliers fan, LeBron James has nothing against Isaiah Thomas or Jamie Crowder. He didn't know them, got respect for them, certainly has respect for their game. LeBron James, according to what I was told, didn't want the trade to take place. LeBron James told the Cleveland Cavaliers, I'm ready to ride the water with the horses that I have, meaning Kyrie Irving. Don't trade him. Dan Gilbert's mentality was simple. I can get draft picks. I can get younger. I can position myself to compete into the future. Why should I just stand pat and do what you want to do when you're not willing to commit to me? So Dan Gilbert asked LeBron James to sign a 3 to 5 year deal, committing to the Cavaliers. LeBron refused to do so. And one of the reasons why there's dissension within the ranks right now is because you have players going out there to compete, but knowing they're not good enough to beat the Golden State Warriors. So essentially you're playing for runner-up. You have an owner who doesn't seem to care because he refuses to budge in terms of doing what's necessary to improve the team, to appease LeBron, because he believes he's appeased LeBron enough. They've had the highest payroll, or one of the top 2 highest payrolls, since LeBron has returned to Cleveland. They've been to the finals each year, but he's fulfilled his end of the bargain by giving LeBron what LeBron swears he needed. And now he's saying, I got to do all of this? I got to really do all of this? I got to make another sacrifice? Hell no. Hell no. So as a result of that, he's saying, I'm not budging. I got a call from one of my boys yesterday telling me to look into it. I looked into it. I talked to the people who were necessary. This is what I found out. So you got a situation where there is this belief that Dan Gilbert is not interested in improving the team. The players know it. And a GM like Kobe Altman, who's a rookie executive, by the way, because he's a GM for the first time, and he's stuck in the middle because he's got to make things happen to improve the team, but he's got an owner like Dan Gilbert to work for. So I bring all of that up to crystallize this for you. Do you believe that Anthony Davis with LeBron James delivers you a championship? I believe it does. After this season, Anthony Davis is at 25, 27, and 28 million per, which for a superstar is chump change in this day and age, this NBA economy, because of the collective bargaining agreement that was signed and a new TV deal that's got a bunch of money coming the way of each individual owner. So you're LeBron James. If you really, really, really want to win a championship, why don't you tell Dan Gilbert in Cleveland you'll commit to the next 3 years? I'm telling you right now that if LeBron James said to Dan Gilbert, go out there and get Anthony Davis for me and I'll stay the next 3 years, I believe Dan Gilbert will exhaust every measure to get Anthony Davis. Can't say he'll definitively get Anthony Davis because the New Orleans Pelicans got to work with you and give him up. And I don't know what you have to give. You got to throw Kevin Love into the mix. Outside of Kevin Love, you put some parts with it, and I don't know if that would be enough for the New Orleans Pelicans. But if Anthony Davis insists on being let out, if you're willing to unload Kevin Love, you could possibly get a third team involved to make something happen. My point to you is that this all could potentially be contingent on LeBron James. Because what this really comes down to is LeBron James' refusal to commit to Cleveland past this year. which is ultimately what irks the nerves of Dan Gilbert, because once again, you're threatening to hold the organization hostage. And why should he commit to that? Now, I'd say Dan Gilbert, LeBron James committing to you for years to come should have nothing to do with your decision to get Anthony Davis if you have a chance to get Anthony Davis. Because I got news for you. If LeBron James were to decide to up and leave, Anthony Davis ain't a bad cornerstone piece to have. If I'm Cleveland, I would want that. But I'm telling you right now, if LeBron made it clear he wanted Anthony Davis, and that got to Anthony Davis, which it would, and Cleveland was willing to do whatever it takes, I'm telling you, Cleveland will be willing to do whatever it takes. Whether they pull it off or not is contingent on what New Orleans would want. But Cleveland will be willing to do whatever it takes. I believe Boston has more assets than Cleveland to offer. But you never know. You just never know. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Chris in L.A., you're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Talk to me.
Hey, Stephen, good morning, good afternoon. Real quick, two things. I wanted to touch on the image problem and regarding the NBA and the NFL. Of course not. I don't agree. They have an image issue, but unfortunately, Stephen, it's the world we live in. The black athlete, as you know, is under a different microscope. The whole Coach Tomlin thing, and I'm a Baltimore fan, so let me preface my comments by saying that I don't agree with it. You went down the list of his resume, and still they won him out. It's just sad. You remember a couple months ago, Stephen, when Durant brought the quote when he was saying if he wasn't dribbling a basketball, what would he be? Well, I think he knows what he would be. That's my first point.
Who's this he?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Who's this he? Who are you talking about?
Kevin Durant, the comment he made a few months ago regarding if he wasn't dribbling a basketball, what would he be?
Yeah, go ahead.
Right. I was saying, you never know because he is dribbling a basketball. So that's my first point. And my second point is about the whole Anthony Davis thing. I was listening to you in regards to Dan Gilbert not wanting to be held hostage. I really don't blame him because of the whole LeBron thing. But if he does happen to go to Cleveland, Stephen A., I have to disagree with you. I don't believe that's still enough to get them over the top with Golden State because the pieces around LeBron and Anthony are still not good enough because the guys don't put forth the effort and they're not willing to make the necessary sacrifices to get them over the top. And that's my opinion, though.
No, I think that LeBron with Anthony Davis is a boatload of problems for the Golden State Warriors. They do defend, make no mistake about it, because they're long and they're athletic and they move their feet and they get out and they're committed. But when you talk about Anthony Davis in combo with LeBron James, you're talking about two surreal, old-world talents that you're going to have to deal with. And I think the other parts around the Cleveland Cavaliers, you got to remember, it wouldn't be a situation right now where everybody wants and deserves a piece of the basketball. You know what? It's LeBron and Anthony Davis. And look, y'all, the rest of y'all figure out and play some damn defense. That's what it would be about. And you know what? You can't sit up there and say definitively because Golden State are such marksmen that they could shoot and they get it done. But let me tell you something right now. The road would be a hell of a lot tougher. And at the very least, it would be a pick'em. You can't definitively say that this Golden State's team would beat a LeBron and Anthony Davis team. You can't do it. Can't do it.
Okay, Steve, real quick question there. Let's say they do get Anthony Davis. They get to the championship, they lose. Does LeBron stay?
If they get to the championship and lose?
And lose with Anthony Davis.
Well, that's the whole point. We don't know. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. We don't know. Only LeBron James knows that, which is what makes this all interesting. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. More to Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio in a minute.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
No matter what the weather is outside, you can always brighten the day with 1-800-Flowers.com. When you order a dozen multicolored roses for only $29.99, you'll get another dozen absolutely free. So just go to 1-800-Flowers.com, please. It's 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. Back to the calls we go right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. Let's go to Marty in L.A. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Hey, Stephen, how you doing? You ready for the NFL this Sunday?
Yes, I am.
Okay, hey, man, listen, I agree with a lot of things you say, but to say that the Vikings are a very unlucky team, that play was not
You mean lucky.
unlucky.
You mean lucky, not unlucky. Lucky.
Lucky.
Yes.
Yes. That was not a lucky play.
Yes, it was.
Well, let me tell you, first of all, the pass was up there. They could not intercept it, and Diggs grabbed it. By the way, if he caught it and went out of bounds,
the pass and the catch were not luck. The touchdown was luck. The man closed his eyes and completely missed the tackle when all he had to do was let the man catch the ball and tackle him, and the game is over. He didn't even have to tackle him; just held him up.
He didn't want to get a penalty.
It's a touchdown. No. Not if he would have caught the ball first. If he'd have caught the ball first, okay, and then tackled him, he could have slowed up, let the man catch the ball, and just held him. Game's over. It's luck. Absolute luck.
If we don't know if.
Look, man, you don't know either. The fact of the matter is you don't know whether it was luck or gift. The throw was a good throw. The catch was a good catch. The actual touchdown was luck, in my opinion.
The Vikings all year, man. I've been here from the beginning telling you about Case Keenum. You've been dogging him I still will. He's an average quarterback at best. Congratulations. There's nothing ultra special to me about Case Keenum. I still stand by it. I don't give a damn if he wins the next the next two games. I still will tell you, Case Keenum is an average quarterback. He's been a journeyman his entire career. Lightning in a bottle. Congratulations. I still stand by that, Marty. If Dennis Green was alive today, he would like Case Keenum.
Okay. Well, that's saying a lot. Appreciate the call. Thank you so much. Benjamin in Philly, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hear me on this, brother. This calling for Mike Tomlin's job is absolute garbage. Mm-hmm. They lost because they were undisciplined, yes. But listen to Sean Payton. Clearly also has an undisciplined team during a timeout. Doesn't teach his rookie how and when he should make a tackle. But listen to these stats.
Sean Payton or the defensive coordinator?
Well, I mean, both of them. It all comes down to the head coach. And Sean Payton has had 4 7-9 records when Mike Tomlin has gone 8-8 at worst only 2 times in his career. Sean Payton has identical stats nearly, 105 and 71 loss.
Actually, Tomlin has better stats, better numbers.
Exactly. 105 and 71, 7-4 in the playoffs, 1 Super Bowl victory. Mike Tomlin is 116 and 60, 8-6 in the playoffs, and 1 Super Bowl victory. But they also, I believe, went to a Super Bowl and lost. They've been to more AFC championship games, and I would argue Drew Brees is better than Ben Roethlisberger. So why are people talking about firing Mike Tomlin and not Sean Payton?
Very good point.
Clapping and taunting fans on the sideline.
Very good point. I don't have a problem with that. I like that comparison. Doesn't bother me at all. It works for me, Benjamin. Appreciate the call. Sean in Inglewood, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, how's it going? 2 things. First hour, you let Keyshawn get away with comparing Case Keenum to Aaron Rodgers at the end there. I didn't like that. But,
I didn't even hear that part, but go ahead.
Okay. But overall, why do the Pelicans want to even give up AD? How come they can't just build around what they have?
It's not about wanting to give him up. It's fear that he's hell bent on leaving.
Okay, so he's not happy along with Cousins, I guess, from sources.
I guess so. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Because they can have a champion caliber team if they just get a couple of shooters around there, and I think Rondo can take them to the promised land.
No. I love Rondo a lot, and by the way, I agree. No disrespect whatsoever to Isaiah Thomas, but I totally agree with Rondo's statement about honoring him having him honored by the Boston Celtics. Isaiah Thomas was a damn good player. He was a terrific player yesterday. For Boston last year. Averaged 28.9 a game. Let me tell you something right now. Isaiah Thomas is miniature and as great as he is phenomenal. This man ain't on Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce, 15 years with Boston, a title, 2 trips to the NBA Finals, wins a title. This man has logged over 40,000 minutes. He's played nearly 1,100 games. And Isaiah Thomas shows up for 2.5 years. He averages 28.9 points for 1 season, gets bounced out in the first round the first 2 years that he was there. Last year, lost in the semifinals, in the conference finals. I'm sorry, this man deserves a celebration. You better stop yourself. I don't want to hear that. And I'm not trying to say that you don't respect him and you don't sit there and play the video tribute and all of that stuff. But his chance was January 3rd when he showed up. And he not only did not play, he didn't want the celebration and tried to use the excuse that his family wasn't in attendance. Oh, so now your family has to be there. for a video tribute. They don't have television? Are you kidding me? Now, I understand that you're honoring him and you're retiring his jersey to the rafters and there's some big halftime ceremony, but a video tribute during the game. He didn't even want the Celtics to do that. Oh, but now you get it when Paul Pierce shows up? No, it does not work that way. Now, I appreciate Isaiah Thomas coming up and saying the big brouhaha over it. He'd rather it not happen. Well, congratulations on that. I'm glad you came to that conclusion. Because you shouldn't want to be honored on the same day that Paul Pierce is going to be honored. It's a different level to this. And I like Isaiah Thomas. He's underpaid. He's been underappreciated. And in today's NBA economy, he's worth over $150 million in today's NBA economy. With the new television contract, with the elevation of the cap, with the money other dudes are getting paid, Isaiah Thomas deserves to get paid $150 million. But $200+ million? Like you're a superstar? No. I need more than 1 year, bro. I need more than 1 year. And oh, by the way, not only do I need more than 1 year, I need to make sure your hips are fully healed. I need to make sure you ain't going to be the younger, shorter black version of Phil Jackson. I need your hips right. So I need your hips right. I need you to continue to average 25 plus. And I need to see, I'm talking about 200 million. I'm not talking about the 150 because we got dudes getting paid in the NBA that can't play. So if Isaiah Thomas can get 150, God bless him. But you ain't Kyrie. You ain't LeBron. You ain't Anthony Davis. You ain't Russell Westbrook. You're not these people. So I'm sorry. I cannot give you that kind of love. I just can't do it. So Rondo, to get back to Rondo's point, Rajon Rondo was absolutely right. No disrespect. But Rondo said it best. This is the Boston Celtics we're talking about here. This ain't the Phoenix Suns. This is the Boston Celtics. Talk about 17, 18 titles. Only the Yankees in all of sports annals has had more success as a franchise. And what Rondo is saying is, what, we award people and celebrate people who got us to a conference finals? That's what we do. That's not what we do with the Boston Celtics. He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. There's no way around that. No matter what anybody says. 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. Please, I'm looking out for you. We all family. You're my listeners. I don't want you to hurt your own feelings by calling me up to disagree with the point that I just made. I don't want to do that to you. So don't call up here if you're going to because you're going to get your feelings hurt. You call up here trying to disagree with me about Isaiah Thomas and Rondo, because Rondo's right. You're going to get your feelings hurt if you call up talking about how Tomlin deserves to go. You're going to get your feelings hurt if you're going to tell me that the NBA has an image problem. So don't do it. Don't say Stephen A. wasn't looking out for you, because clearly I am. Your calls to close out the show in a minute. You're listening live to Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show right here on ESPN Radio. Let's get back to the phones while we're running out of time at 888-SAY-ESPN. Tony in San Diego, you're live with Stephen A. What's up, man?
Hey, hello, Stephen A.
Yes.
This is Tony. Tony, long time listener. I'm going to be real quick, man. I'm a service member out here in San Diego. You and Max and Molly were down here for Veterans Day weekend. Well, I appreciate you, man. I'm about to retire 24 years of naval service ending this coming September. And I got to tell you, bro, who you are and what you do for us as service people and in our own community especially, man, has kept me motivated, and it keeps a lot of us service members motivated. I tell you what, there's been times I was on deployment overseas, man. In the middle of the night, I'll turn on ESPN radio just to hear you. So I want to say thank you. Keep doing what you're doing, my man. I'm a diehard Dallas Cowboy fan, so I got to throw that in there to kind of mess with you right now. But I love you, man. Keep doing what you're doing. I love it how you got 250+ people listening to you now. We know you're doing big things, and I'm going to say it right now before I get off this phone. I hope you run for president one day. You'll have my vote.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate it. I doubt I'll ever do that. I can tell you that much. I'm not a politician, but I thank you so much. I appreciate the love. And more importantly, thank you for your love and your service to this country. Thank you so much, man. Really, really appreciate those comments. Let's go to Wes in Connecticut. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Wes?
What's up, Stephen A.? How you doing?
Talk to me, bro.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about the NBA image thing. I think it's laughable because I can remember a time where people were mad about Iverson and other players sitting on the bench with their jewels and their baggy clothes, and then they made a dress code for the NBA. And in the 80s, wasn't nobody screaming about the NBA having an image problem when everybody was fighting for real.
Right.
But to piggyback off what you were saying about the MLB and NHL, at least the NHL has tried to make some strides in trying to stop the fighting and stuff like that. But as far as sports go, I think the MLB's got the biggest image problem when you could throw a projectile at somebody's head 100 miles an hour and possibly kill them, and nobody's saying nothing about it. And they also have a problem
not only
with
that,
putting up.
and they got the license to police themselves. They'll literally look you and me dead in the face and say, "We got this. We don't need any outside interference. We got this." And it's tacitly allowed. Yeah, the commissioner will come down and hand down a suspension. But for the most part, it's allowed. You don't see any kind of uproar from the public over players fighting or throwing 95-mile-per-hour fastballs at people's heads. You don't see that. You don't see it.
I think that's the biggest problem in sports. I think NBA has nothing to do with it. I think MLB has a bad image, and the NBA thing is very laughable.
Right.
And last thing, I'm a big Eagles fan, and I've been waiting ever since what Chip Kelly did to my team, and I thought we would never be in this position again for a good long time. I'm hoping that we win this next game.
I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Listen, I'm rooting for y'all. I hope Philadelphia wins Sunday, but I got to tell you something. If Carson Wentz hadn't gone down, I'd pick y'all to win it all. I think you would have won the Super Bowl.
Already know, but I got to make do with Nick Foles.
You got to make do with Nick Foles. I don't think you won in a Super Bowl with him, but you might get there. Appreciate the call, man. Daryl in Virginia, you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead.
What's going on, Stephen A? I called you yesterday about the Cavaliers, suggested they should get Roy Hibbert. But I called you. Yeah, I called you to apologize, man.
I was getting ready to ban you. Go ahead and apologize. Apologize on national TV. Apologize right now.
Stephen A. I apologize.
All right. What's the wife's name? Hold on, Darryl. What is the wife's name?
Abria.
Abria?
Yes, sir.
You tell Abria, you go, girl. Get your man to call up here and apologize. You go, girl.
I forgot
now, go
that
ahead,
he
Darryl.
recorded 3 games where he didn't get a single point or a single rebound.
That's right.
I forgot all about that.
That's right.
So she told me I had to call you and apologize.
Now you go tomorrow and you could call back. Your banishment is over since Abria got you to call and apologize. You go, girl. That's what I'm talking about here. Darryl, thank you for the call. The wife had to make it. The wife knew more about Roy Hibbert than you. The wife knew more about Roy Hibbert than you. Good Lord, Darryl, get it together. Get it together. I'm only playing. Big Z in Missouri, real quick, brother. You live with Stephen A. Go ahead.
Appreciate you taking my call. I want to say this.
You only got a minute. You only got 45 seconds. Go ahead.
LeBron in high school was better than Jordan. When he entered the NBA, he was better than Jordan. He brought his team to the finals, younger than MJ, versus the worst cast ever. So he's in his 15th season.
MJ went to college. MJ went to college and served 3 years. LeBron came straight out of high school. And don't tell me for 1 second you would pick LeBron over MJ. Don't do it. Don't do it.
They were same age, Stephen A. He was still better. He carried the hype better.
Hey, Big Z. Have a nice life. Have a nice life. You take it easy. I'm not going to listen to such drivel. LeBron James better than Michael Jordan? Have you lost your mind? Why are these people bothering me? Why are these people bothering me? Knowing that I'm in a good mood, the show was about to come to an end, and you would bother me with such nonsense? Such nonsense, Big Z?